Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SG Women Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more, who represent our community all around the world. This month, SG Women Month is proudly presented by Silicon Valley Bank and Google for Startups.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your hostess with the mostest, Therese W. Gamble, the Startup Grind Chapter Director in Jacksonville, Florida, in beautiful Florida, because you know it's so beautiful. It's hot and it's sunny. Want to be at the beach right now, but this evening we're going to have soulful conversations with Jana Devoe-Biggins from Savannah, Georgia. We're going to talk about her career, her business, and her recent project being an author, The Craft of the Follow-Up. We got to talk about that, because that is one thing in business we fail to do, is to follow up, and we miss money and leave money on the table for that. So I just want to welcome everybody that have attended last week, all week, gracing the stage with these amazing women that I have featured. Monday, we had the BMW Live boss, mama, wife. I mean, Miss Serena laid it down. She gave us some tips. And Thursday, we had what if when opportunity knocks, do we seize the moment? Friday, we had Faith Fight Friday about business resiliency matters. Saturday, you know we got to get that self-care in, ladies, because you know we'll run and be super women to everybody and everyone except ourselves. So Thomasina talked to us real good. It gave us some tips on self-care. And now Sunday, we're going to kind of slow the pace down a little bit, but then we're going to make it think too. So we're going to talk about the craft of the follow-up. So I would like to take this time and welcome Jana Devoe-Biggins, a very amazing friend of mine. And I have the privilege and the honor of having her to grace this virtual stage with me. Welcome, Jana.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to invite me around the team. From the sidelines and the front view, what you've done, how you grown your chapter, and it's amazing, and everything that you have done through it. So congrats and kudos to you. Thank you for your help with my business. Being able to invest in you and you invest back in me, the things that to help get me started. To push me on my way on some of these things. So thank you so much what your organization does. And I'm just excited to be here on this Sunday to share.
That's great, Jana. I appreciate it so much. So let's get started. Let's talk about who is Jana, the woman. We want to talk about the woman. I already know what you do and what you done done. Let's talk about Jana, the woman.
Yes, ma'am. So, of course, a mother of two girls. Love just kicking back, relaxing anywhere where there's near water. So I love Florida, of course. But water, definitely. If there's water, I'm there. It could be a lake, it could be a pond, the ocean, a river, whatever. I'm there. Just a time to just relax and unwind and renew. So outside of that, I love to read, love to write, love acting, singing, little bit of dancing. For that most part. And just love to have fun. And of course, I love business, to the part where I am believing that soon I'll be able to invest in other businesses and buy other businesses. I believe that's what God has called me to do, to invest in businesses and amongst other gifts he has given me. And so I'm just ready for that ride.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's what I'm talking. Speaking into existence about investing. So let's educate everybody on what you do. What's your 9 to 5 that you do right now?
Ooh, it seems like it's more than 9 to 5. That's a whole other subject. 25 years in hospitality and tourism. I'm a director of sales and marketing for a company in Savannah, Key International. They have a hotel called the Holiday Inn, Savannah Historic District, where I'm there managing the sales, everyday sales there. I have a small team that I work with in my department. And then, of course, I have another hat while I have also social tours where I'm the owner operator of a historic heritage tour company. And then, of course, the book, The Craft of the Follow Up.
I see. So it's amazing that you are worked in sales and marketing for 25 years. In that career field, was that the reason that you wind up birthing also social tours, or is that something that you had already was a hobby and you made it into a business?
I would have to say it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
For the most part, I love tourism from the aspect of the heritage. And of course, there's over anywhere between 3.5, that number's gone down since COVID, million tourists that visit our area per year, if not more. And so it has been, it's like, where do I find myself in there? And over 8.3 trillion in the market of tourism and travel, and that has grown. So it's like, what percentage of that do you need to live a life that you dream of and the freedom that you want? And so to mix what I was learning about my own heritage and what I've learned about others, I decided to make it profitable. So yes, a hobby became a business from that. And then in tourism, I've done some great things and I've done some not so great things, mistakes and lessons that I've learned from, and that's the birthing of the craft of the follow-up.
I see. I've heard, because this is one of the key things even I talk about in business, that we meet and greet a lot of people and they are impressed of what we do and who we are. And then we get the business card and then we don't do the due diligence to follow up. And I have always been taught, at least within 72 hours, you need to follow up, even just thank the person for even showing any type of interest. So let's get into this book. Let's get into this book, the meat and potatoes, because my book ain't came yet, but I can't wait till it do. I'm gonna have to get in the weeds of it. So tell me, what lessons or stories learned that caused you to write this book?
The first one was the major one. I called it okay in a day.
Repeat that part again.
The first one is losing 40K in a day.
Losing $40,000 in one day. What? Okay. You're gonna have to tell me about this story. Now, how did you lose $40,000 in a day?
By not following up.
Wow.
So the hard part about it was with a client that I trust very much so. She trusts me. We had a contract, of course, and she delivered for the most part on that contract. But as we got closer into the middle and the end of that contract, the numbers weren't adding up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I missed it. I didn't tell her, hey, she wasn't fulfilling her contract to capacity. So, but telling her in the end was too late. Versus had I had touch points with her along the way, instead of just saying, hey, I won the contract and it's over and I'm just letting the money flow in, versus being able to hands on, seeing if she has everything she needs, bringing her back to the remembrance of certain things in our contract, make sure those things are still in line. I took it for granted. And they pulled out early of their contract and we lost 40,000. Well, nobody would have known if I didn't say anything, unless they would have went back later on and said, hey, we're missing a couple thousand here, what happened? So I owned up to it and I said, hey, I didn't follow up my client. And when I did, she was like, you didn't follow up with me. You would have told me, we would have kept going. But I felt that I was saving my company money, so we pulled out. So follow up was a very expensive lesson. I'm grateful of the relationship that I have with my managers and ownership, that they respected me enough to kind of give me a slap on the hand and told me, don't, make sure it don't happen again. So, it was embarrassing at one point, because I pride myself on being able to communicate with my clients. And this was one of those times where it was not a good situation at all. And so I wanted to write about it. It helped me to not only heal through that, but also to tailor what's next and not be able to make that mistake again.
That's cool. So how did what caused your managers just to give you a slap on the wrist versus firing you? Because mostly that's the first instinct when you losing company money for that amount.
I think because I was making so much more money. And I've been very dedicated and consistent and open and honest about my errors or things that I think should go another way or vice versa. I think they respected me enough to know this was not a consistent thing. This was not normal for me. And so, and then the fact that I owned up to it without them finding the mistake first, I found it and admitted to it. And that they really appreciate the integrity behind me being able to say, I messed up.
So you owning up to your mistakes and not looking at your errors as a weakness. What How does your character play a part in that? Because a lot of people in business, they won't own up to their mistakes. They will lie to the end and have deniability and point fingers to others. So why is that so important? Um, when you admit that.
It's grossly important. It's your business. You know, whether it's your job or your business or ministry, you have to take ownership for those mistakes. Those are lessons. People see that you're human, but on the other side of that, it's your integrity. You got to take a lie to cover a lie to cover a lie, and next thing you know, that lie is going to chase you down. That guilt is going to overtake you, and you're not going to be able to function. So the best thing to do is to admit, correct, and move on, or hopefully you can mend that relationship that is not so severe to the point that it's a hardship for both parties and you can't recover from it.
Right, right. So what happens if they have you ever been in a situation where you couldn't mend fences when you failed to follow up?
Oh, yes. Many times throughout my career, where I'll use a good example. You said about getting those business cards. I talk about the elevator pitch in my book and how not one elevator doesn't fit all. You know, you might be in a certain room full of doctors. Well, they might not want to hear about a certain thing, but how can you apply that to them when you're introducing yourself? What need is in the room? And finding out, doing that research. And so I was in a situation where I got a card, the person I was going to call them, they needed some immediate help. And I was like, oh, I can seal this. And just didn't take the time. Like you said, that small window, you know, you think you're the only one talking to someone. They're talking to 10 other people. And you feel like you made a connection. But was that connection strong enough for you guys to, hey, I'm not going to do this with anybody else but you? But it wasn't that situation. And so I lost that opportunity because I failed to move fast enough and move fast enough as well as uh, seal the deal or build a relationship. I talk about that. What does that relationship look like?
So I'm finna mess with you. So when you was writing this book, how many shoe boxes of business cards you had?
Ooh, I have binders full of old business cards where I should just put the sleeves in and like, okay, I started categorizing them and then they came up with this new technology we can like scan stuff in and put them in your phone. And I still have people in my phone and God, people who are now deceased, you know, people who have gone on to new jobs. So you really have to take the time to follow up and stay connected with individuals and don't just have that business card lagging around with you until you need it. You know, check on them. You know, I talk about that. Building a connection sometimes means picking up that phone or going by the office. I know with COVID, a lot of people close their doors like, hey, you're going to have to talk to me online or you're going to write me a letter. You know, but even taking the time to say, hey, I heard your son and daughter was graduating. You know, here's a gift card. You know, or hey, I heard you love Shoney's or Denny's or whatever. I got you a gift card. My favorite thing to do when someone won't pick up the phone, I talk about in the book, is buy them a chocolate covered telephone and send it and say, it'd be so sweet to hear from you. So
I like that one. That's cute.
I've done, I've done all kinds of things. We've had chocolate covered hammers and nails and say, hey, I just want to fix this. You know, something that's neat and out of the box and out of the way to kind of touch, give those warm touch points and follow up and kind of get your foot back in the door when you missed it.
That's beautiful. I love those little gifts because they do mean a lot, and it'll put a smile on their face, even though you're trying to extend that olive branch. So I know you talk about in the book as not just following up, but what is the recipe of the secret sauce for sustaining business relationships? Because see, you've been doing hospitality and tourism a while. You know, you got the tourist company and now you got the book. So I know you got some tricks or some secret sauce on keeping those business relationships alive.
Yes. One I like to do, and that's the bingo. Everybody
Bingo.
likes to win something. Yes. So
Okay.
before COVID, I would go by an office, maybe take 5 to 10 bingo cards, pass them out to the secretaries, the janitors, your frontline individuals, the back office. Because most of the time, the boss might not have time to play bingo, but their support team does. And a lot of times, that support team is the brain. It's also the referral system, the influencer at times. And so you definitely want to stay on their good side and get to know them. And so bingo was something that I could say, hey, on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday when we see we got a winner, we're going to call out these numbers. I might do it through email, text message. Now, most of the time we do it by email. Send out the number, or the letter, send out the call for the day. And everybody has like this razzle dazzle, oh, I got bingo, or, I got to call such and such, my card is full, and so they start to call me, versus who has bingo? Somebody has to have it. Another thing we used to do is fill your candy jar. Ask them what their favorite candy is. Come in there with a jar full of candy and know either by the end of the week or 2 weeks, I got to come back and fill that jar back up. And so just little things to kind of get your foot in the door, build a relationship, and have a talking point to kind of say, hey, how's business? Staying on the news on their business. What is their business doing? What is the organization, the parent company that might own their business? Congratulating them on that. They might not know. They might not even keep up with that stuff. Say, hey, I saw you guys had a merger. That means more money, more things, more opportunity, congratulations with that. And then sometimes like, hey, what do you think about y'all new merger? Tell me more about it. And it's that person or that company that you engage with what they have going on, and then how to sell to them, or how to continue the relationship, or how to refer them new business that might help them. That's another thing I do. If I go see a new client or someone who I've researched or I've known, take them a referral and say, hey, I was thinking about you. And I see that you do this. Do you know this company? Well, here's my connect. I told them that I would be sharing their information with you. And that's not, you genuinely do it. It's not so much to say something, okay, they're going to think about me. But of course, you want them. You're building a relationship. Think about it as dating. When you date someone, you wine and dine them, and you hope that they continue on that path. The same thing, how do they say it? The same thing that it took to get me is the same thing it's going to take to keep me and more.
Wow. I love those tips and those analogies. That is amazing. I like the candy, the bingo. That is very creative. I would have never thought of that. So is this a traditional bingo game, or the bingo game theme is based around that company?
You can do it around the company, you can do the traditional one, be as fun as you can with everybody involved.
So, with your background with the historical tours and with the social unrest we have been dealing with for the last year, how we gonna have to reimagine how to build relationships now?
Yes.
And what is your strategies have you thought about? Because I've been thinking about. And then Stephanie has a comment. I want to hear your feedback on this, and then I'm gonna read Stephanie's question in the comment. Welcome, Stephanie.
Okay. For me, it's finding out people's level of comfort. That's the first thing. Genuinely asking them, how are they weathering the storm? How are they pivoting their business? And then from that, you can kind of tailor what it is that they need from you at this point. And genuinely caring. People have lost a lot, and some people have gained a lot through their loss. And so, and people have learned new ways of how to do business. And so that's a good thing. Those are questions you could ask and say, hey, traditionally, this is how we did things. How would you like me to handle this now with you? And get them thinking. And you can strategize and have a brain strategy session with your client and meet their needs and their comfortability of where they're at. So much was always, well, this is how I could do it. This is how I could do it, versus how can I do it the way you can be comfortable. Switching gears to, how we do the tours. We had to stop Our city stopped us from doing tours for a while. And then when tours were back open, where I used to be able to do 30 people at a time, which I still can if I want, but I brought that level down to 10 and I raised my ticket price, and I raised my quality in my tour and being able to give them a little bit more with less people or families, and then private tours. I didn't do a lot of private tours before, but now I do. Groups that don't mind traveling together, focusing more on that. Listen, virtually saying, oh, I'm going to do the masses on this day. 30 strangers who don't even know each other. Well, everybody's not that comfortable. Some people want to keep their mask on. Some people want to walk around with their mask off. It's not a law that I can walk up to you and go, let me see your vaccination card.
Right. Right.
Still, you have to be safe and still continue good hygiene. So just pivoting and finding out where your customer is at would be my first thing to say. Find their level of comfort, and then that way you know how to sell to them.
That's good. Stephanie, question is, how many days are you supposed to wait before sending a friendly reminder to receive a reply?
I literally do it in 24 hours.
24 to 48. Okay.
In my initial email, I always put a time and a date. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. Here's the proposal. I will follow up with you tomorrow at 2:00 if that is a good time for you. Or normally I say, I'm gonna follow up tomorrow with you at 2:00. I let them come back and say, oh, I'm not available at 2:00, but I could do 5:00.
That's good.
I put a time on there and I put a date. We used to say, I had a friend who did a conference and it was called House Tuesday at 2:00. And she literally, when she'd walk out from someone's office, she would go, how's Tuesday at 2:00? So I like adopted her thing and I was like, how's Monday at 5:00? Or how's Wednesday at 3:00? And be able to put that down and say, hey, I'm going to call you Wednesday at 3:00. And allow someone to say, well, I'm not available at 3:00, but I can do 9:00 or 10:00. Now you got them in a ball. Or they're going to say, let me think about it. I'll give you a couple more weeks. Okay, I'm kind of busy. I want to get you on my calendar. So how's 2:00 on this day? And then limit. And they're like, I just want to make sure that you don't miss an opportunity. And I want to make sure that I not follow up with you. So I want to lock you in. And if we need to change it at that time, we can. No pressure. But let me lock you in.
That's good. I like that. Now, I used to use that same strategy, but I have fell in love with Calendly because because I can put my schedule out there and it gives them the opportunity to check their availability to see what works for them and also works for me. And then when they book, then I do the email that you're talking about, with the follow up, because then I know they're serious. Because you have some people, they just want to get on your calendar just to get on your calendar, but then which make you miss opportunities for people who really serious to wants to connect with you and to do business. Now, Stephanie is a college student, so she's a up and coming classical performer. She loves music. Stephanie, Jana loves music too.
Yes.
So what strategies could you give our millennials today, our college students that's coming out that had to deal with this pandemic while they're in school? How can the craft of the follow-up book or some of your sales strategies that you used at the Holiday Inn and how you have pivot also social tours, what advice can you give those college students who either looking for internships this summer or want to go acquire that job at that dream company, or even launch something creative on their own?
I always say, so if they have something to do every year, they need volunteers. They definitely need millennial strategies. Or how do they sell to millennials? Because they realize that is the age group next to baby boomers that have dispensable income to be able to travel and to purchase these items that they have, depending on what it is. But for the most part, you can apply that to any type of product mostly right now. Anything that has to deal, especially with technology. I can speak from the music part, being a performer and singing on stage and getting myself involved. I started volunteering. I was like, when I couldn't get that key position on the stage, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the chorus, or I'm gonna help put the binders together, and be able to talk to the professors and the teacher aides and get my name out there. Say, this person is dedicated. No matter what I ask them to do, They're there, Johnny on the spot, and they're studying their craft. And they're passionate about what they do. Show your passion and don't be ashamed of it. Be able to step forward no matter what everyone else is doing. People look at sometimes when you're stepping your foot forward, you're turning into brown nose, you're trying to buy your way in. No, you're trying to show somebody that you're very serious about what you're trying to do and that you're willing to not only learn, but be engulfed in this thing and find your niche and learn every aspect that you can and all the while being passionate in it. So always speak up, find that way, volunteer, and then, those opportunities will open themselves because sometimes we don't see it on the surface. Sometimes they're not advertised. Sometimes that person is looking for that gem in the rough and be able to say, you know what? I have an internship I was looking for. I was looking for that special person. I wasn't going to pop it up, but you're that one. You never know. And I'm a woman of faith at the same time. So I believe that God puts us in situations and places and he opens up doors and people work. He works through others on our behalf. And those doors open when we put our foot forward and say, hey, God, I don't know what it is we're going to do, but this is what I'm believing you for. And if it's your will, I'm going to be able to walk straight to that door and that door is going to be open. And I'm going to run through it.
That's good. I like that. Not walk, run through it. Okay, Stephanie asks, is there a different strategy for emailing versus follow up on LinkedIn versus email? So is there a strategy for the difference? Because a lot of people is still, they're emailing more, they're reading blogs, they're doing social media. What's the difference and what's the best strategy?
I see now, right now, the trend that we see is people putting those catchy lines in the subject matter. So when you're sending an email or someone's doing a live and it says mention you, if you see that lately, the mention you is one of the most popular things. So you're looking at it going, someone mentioned me. And at first you're like, let me go ahead and see what they're talking about me for. When really it's just a live and they're talking about their products and things like that. Or someone sit here and goes, I'm sorry, I made a mistake with your ... What did someone make a mistake with what with me? And so it's an emotional point in the email that captures their attention because we are an emotional being. And so we talk about emotional intelligence, i.e., and reading up on that and researching. There's so many books. I want to call a name right now, but I want to get it wrong. It'll come to me. But definitely there are some good books and strategies on EI and touching our emotional part of us. So me personally, I categorize my emails when they come to me. I go, okay, does this look important? Can I do this one later? I read my emails from the bottom up. Like, what did I miss? And then try to read the conversation. Then I go, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. And then from a sender's value, I go to, okay, what was hot? It's an old thing. You got warm leads, hot leads, and cold leads. Cold being, all right, they ain't nowhere trying to buy or do anything right now, but I'm not going to give up on them. I'm going to still keep them informed. Then you have your warm. They're kind of in the middle. They want to do business with you, but they might not know how to fit you in their finances right now. They might not know how to, they might not quite know what they really want, but they know they want to do something with you. And then you're hot. Yeah, I want that. Do this. Show me how I can do it right now. Let's do this. And so you really have to think about when I'm sending this email, I don't want to see overbearing. I just want to get to the point. And so most of the time I start off with something emotional. And it's like, hey, I was just checking on you. How are things going with the business? Since last we talked, or something that you see in the news about their company, or hey, like I said, stopping by that office. Hey, I missed you in the office, but I dropped off some candy for the team. Help them get kept in their step because I know you guys are busy. From a boss standpoint, if they got people in their office working, they want everybody working, and so just kind of telling that back. Another thing I do, Teresa, is I go at the end of the day, maybe about 5 o'clock or 4:30. When people have left their office for the day, I leave them a voicemail telling them that I sent them an email. Because I'm going to be that first voice they hear in the morning because your voicemails typically play from the last call they received. And so it's like, hey, this is Janae. Just want to let you know I left you an email. It's real important to get a chance to reach it. Hope you had a fabulous day. I see you're already gone out the office. That's great. I'm still here, but I'm trying to leave like you. And so someone that I'm trying to get in the door, I normally say, hey, this is Jana Devoe-Biggins, and I just wanted to reach out to you guys. I see that I'm reading that your mission statement, it lines up with the things that I'm looking to do business with other organizations like yours. And I could not wait. I had to leave this message for you. I'm going to call you tomorrow mid-morning, but I could not go any further without leaving this message for you. And I'm going to send you a quick email as well. And that's it. And I've had some good success from leaving those last bit of voicemail. Hey, I got a voicemail from you. Which company are you with now? And most of the time, I don't even tell them the company. I just say, hey, I was online. I read your mission statement and it inspired me. And I'm looking to do business with people just like you. And so,
Wow. Now, I'm glad you did that example because it made me thought of this question. How important it is to be spontaneous, to do those strategies, or because we get in the mindset sometimes we procrastinate. How important is it to be spontaneous and act upon that spontaneous?
you have to. Trust me. I have caught myself in procrastination. I'm like, oh God, I done got out that move. Okay, I got to pick myself back up. But if you miss that opportunity to be Johnny on the spot and confident about what you know you can do and the gifts that you have and the skill set that you have, you're going to miss a lot of opportunity. It's very important to be able to get in there and do your part and just be, hey, yeah, that's me. I can do that. Yes, yes. Let's sit down and talk about it because I want to make sure that I dot all my I's and cross my T's with you. But I definitely want to meet with you because I know I can get that done for you. Even if you got to force it out.
Wow.
That window of opportunity for someone for what they're looking for and make some money behind it.
Okay. Stephanie asked, she said, how many people should you be reaching out to every month to keep your vision growing?
Okay. So I hear a lot of things. I was always taught the law of numbers. The more people you talk to, the higher the probability of your sale. But then there's some aspects, depending on the type of business you do, you want quality over quantity. And so that depends on where you are. Most people say, oh, I'm going to go to this nightclub. They're having a boss move business bump. Well, is that really your clientele? You're going to go pass out cars in the night where people are really getting drunk and the music is thumping, thumping, thumping. Everybody talking about they a boss. Might not be your scene. But those same boss babes might have a brunch where the music ain't so loud and they got someone in there and everybody's got more clothes on.
That's true.
Do some business with them. Not knocking anybody's hustle. Maybe that's them, but you have to line people up with your how am I trying to say it? With your vision and your mission. Because if you don't, you're gonna get a customer that's gonna, excuse my expression, give you HE double hell.
Right.
And you're gonna sit here and be like, what did I do? Because all money's not good money. And you got to be able to function and do that with certain people. And so that is one thing that I talk about in my book. I'm like, you have to really prospect your prospect. You know, is this person really profitable? Is this person really making these moves they're talking about? Because social media, you can put all kinds of things on there. Really, these people ain't making these moves because when it comes time to talk about your business and their business, you seem to know more about their business than they do, which tells me they're not really engulfed in it. Somebody, they're just reposting or copying and pasting something that they saw, and they're not really engulfed and engaged and passionate about what they're doing. So, you know, I have to say you have to really look at what it is you're selling. If you're trying to do an event and you want the masses to come and you don't have a demographic you're looking for or a certain quality of people, then by all means, talk to everybody you can. No less than 300 people a day. You know,
That's good. Because
you know,
she said she's been trying to use the quality over quantity, but she said sometimes she's questioned whether is it really about the numbers. And what I can do is, Stephanie, numbers not necessarily will convert to sales
right.
or money. And I have learned that over the years, and I'm quite sure Jana has too. You have to be able, quality has to come first because that's where the true business relationships are built. People do business with people they trust, and trust comes from building relationships.
That's right. Exactly.
So you mentioned something a few minutes ago about the emotional intelligence. And I didn't realize I was doing this because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like selling. I just, that's one thing. Because I guess all the sell people I met, they always used to lie. So that made me didn't like selling, period. But I was already using EI before it became popular. I always started my conversations, hey, hello, how are things going with you in your business? Or even sometime with this pandemic, I have really became more intentional to ask how the person is doing before I even get into business, because we don't know what each other challenges was last year. We don't know what challenges some people are still dealing with right now. We have a lot of people that's grieving from family members. You know, some children are taking over businesses from parents who have ownership. So Jana, with business relationship, I want to talk about also social tours, because you took me on a mini tour before the pandemic, and especially that ice cream. I've been thinking about that ice cream too. It was real good. Tell me about the tours, because I done been to where I see the website has been updated and it's changed and it looks good. And then the bus tours you do. Tell us some more about this. What was the motivation behind this, and how does it tie into your book and what you do at the hotel?
So for the most part, I mean, our story, I thought, wasn't being told as much as the general history of our city. Um, Enslavement, slavery, Civil War, um, is more romanticized than anything. I think people talk about, oh, they brought the slaves over. Well, no, we weren't slaves when you brought us over. We were agricultural geniuses. You know, we had great ingenuity. Um, we were kings, queens, princesses, paupers, whatever we were in a kingdom that brought us over here. Even if we lived in a village, that village that still had order and it had royalty, a kingdom standard. And so they knew that. And that is why we were targeted, because of our gifts, because of our ingenuity. And people were trying to develop something new. And that still transcends to today. And so I wanted to be able to tell that story, you know, to be able to say, hey, a lot of times we see gentrification going on, people who are owning private buildings that are historic and they don't want no word about what really happened there from 1600 to the 1800s. They just want you to know that it's a restaurant now, or it's a clothing store now, not that it was a slave mart, not that it was a broker's house there. A lot of enslaved people were brokered through. It was a broker insurance company. We were property, a commodity. And so if we lived or died, people got paid just like the insurance pays out now. And so we have to still think about that. Generational wealth was built on the backs of our ancestors. And so I want to be able to not only share and give some type of pride to a generation that might not know their history or even have a knack or even want to know about that, a glimpse that they just didn't come into hardships. They didn't just come into poverty, but that it's a spirit that not only is a spirit, but it's also a generational curse. And that is some things that we can come out of if you only know where you originally came from and how you can get back to your family line. And even if that family line had something that was tainted, how you can change that, change the history of your family, change the story, and you be that vehicle to take your family to the next plateau. And so that is where we do also social tours. We come from, I put social in there because of the social aspect, the sociology behind the different heritages and how we all are like a gumbo. You know, that's a French and an English word. You know, a gumbo of uh, uh, race people. And so I wanted to be able to share that. And so I always claim the fame of saying I have the nation's largest heritage tour company. No one says that, but I do, because of my connectivity to other tour companies across this country and across the world, Australia, UK, Japan, Canada. I have tour partnerships all across that people, I can't wait till the gates open back up where they can come back by the busload. When Stephanie was saying about quality and numbers, I made one contact and had multiple buses. And if I didn't want to do not one more walking tour and just fed into that, I didn't have to, because of that one quantity turned into quality And I didn't have to fight so hard because of that. But it opened the gateway to others because of what I was delivering for them. I had I had a good referral. I had someone to say, "Hey, we do business with her, but hey, don't take her too much away from us because we need her." So it makes you want to grow.
Yeah.
So
Stephanie say it only takes one. Exactly. I'm the tours are very beneficial. I like how you're personalizing them now for family and specific groups where they're comfortable of learning about this information. And with your background in sales and marketing, I'm quite sure it played a big role to help you really launch also social tours to other cultures besides the African American culture. How did that transaction take place?
oh, listen, I have some people who try to understand that. They're like, "Oh, you want to do more background?" Like, my customer isn't there. My customer is coming into the area. My customer isn't African American. My customer is Asian. My customer is Canadian, white Canadian. My customer is Californian, uh, Australia, Aussie. I've had more Caucasian and foreign travelers take my tour than the African American heritage.
Wow. Interesting. That's interesting. And
Asia is sitting with Gone with the Wind. They are sitting with Gone with the Wind. I mean, they want the big hoop skirts. They want the southern drawl. They want to see cotton. They want to feel rice. They want to know about the ingenuity and how we have such a great connectivity to Asians. In regards to how we cultivate rice. Rice was huge for both
right.
of our cultures, and how that share how we share that.
Awesome. Stephanie asked, how was your understanding of marketing and change during the pandemic? Because she says she's taking a marketing class at her university for MBA. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are.
Well, for the most part, in market research, you have to follow the trends. Our trend last year is going to be different because we're going on something that was global, a global, how should I say, the word I'm looking for. I don't want to call it an oddity, but it's like a blip. This happened. So many people in 2019, in the beginning of 2019, we're like, okay, this is what we're doing in 2020, planning a year out, or watching the trends and how it's going to come back up and where we're going to see the trend turn around. And so when you're doing your market research, 2020 is going to be a lesson because anything from 2020 like into this year is going to be up. It's going to be a positive because it was such a low. And even the up that we're experiencing and comparing it to the past 2 years is still a lot high. It's still low than what it's going to be. So when you're talking about marketing and marketing yourself, even though I'm a marketing professional, I still reach out to marketing professionals, depending on what I'm trying to do. A lot of times it's tedious, or if you don't have the time to do it, you find and hire somebody that could do the research for you. But for the most part, you want to do what they call R&D. You want to do research and development for yourself first. Not only do you want to get to know your product and how it sells, or your service and how it sells, is by getting your hands dirty first and knowing what it is. So when you do talk to these professionals that you might hire to help you for your service or your product selling, you are abreast and intelligent enough to know, yes, that sounds good, no, that doesn't, versus you might spend thousands of dollars, a mistake, pointing it in one direction, and that's not even what you need. And being able to say, okay, this is the direction I want my product to go, my services, the awareness, uh, what we call ROI, return on your investment. You want to be able to track that. Technology plays a great part. From a hotel piece, when they say, oh, why you don't advertise your hotel on Facebook? Well, how can I track that? They haven't
Right.
created a system where I can track, oh, how many bookings came from Facebook. Can't track that. But if they go and do a click through and then go to and click through the website, then I can track that. But most of the time I can just only click, oh, they clicked on the site, they read it. They clicked on the site, they read it. But where's the money? Because that's what
Exactly.
you want to return on your investment. So it has to make sense. So when you're doing a campaign, always go in mind, this is the end result I want from my campaign, and going into it. So sales and marketing has a lot of aspects. Just talking about your company is sales and marketing. being able to volunteer and have your name up on a board with sales and marketing, have an opportunity to speak and do things that we're doing right now in sales and marketing. And so it has many aspects, but if you're being specific and you're coming up with campaigns, which most people do, and it's been going on for decades, years, you know, Johnson and Johnson or GE, Samsung, Apple, you know, people say all the time, I don't remember the last time I saw a Porsche commercial. Walmart never advertised on the radio, but now they do because they need people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Walmart never needed to advertise on the radio to get people to work. So it depends on the times, it depends on the need, and not just the need of what you're trying to get from other people, but the need for your company. And how can you fill that void in order to strategize and make a sales and marketing campaign?
That's good. Now I know sometimes I've been reading the Nielsen report to see how consumers are, what they're buying and what they're spending their money on. Because I was working on trying to revamp a birth a new business model, even for what I do, because most service professionals are trying to find their niche right now because everybody is such into tangible products and services. So that's a good question, Stephanie, on marketing strategies. And Jana, you made a valid point. If you put everything on Facebook and you can't track it to determine, you know, is it a good investment to do Facebook ads or Instagram ads to get that click rate to generate the return on your investment that you even invested to launch that ad. So with that being said, I know I don't want to tell too much of your book. I want people to go buy the book. You need to go buy the book. And where can they find this book, Jana?
You can find it on Amazon. I have the download and the hard copy.
Okay, good.
So type in The Craft of the Follow-Up, or you can type in my name, Jana Devoe, and it'll pull up the book as well. To be able to download. I was working on hosting a class this month. I need to go back and look at that, where I am with that, to be able to host an online class to talk about some of the strategies in the book, and the class includes the book. So
that's good. So I know you're gonna drop some sales and marketing stuff in that book because you can't help it. That's in your background.
It's in there. Please believe it's in there. I walk through the whole strategy from the time you do your elevator pitch all the way to just continuing on with the relationship.
Wow, that's amazing. That is so amazing. So Jana, I know I enjoyed this time with you. Stephanie, you have any more questions for Jana before we leave? Because me and Jana can go on and on talking about this because of some of the things that we have experienced. But I just want to give Jana the opportunity to let her know and give her the final words. But I just want to remind everybody, this concludes our Startup Grind Women's Week celebration. But we need to celebrate women everywhere, every day, for what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, women do rule the world. I don't care what nobody say. We rule the world. We may not be loud and up front. Some of us may be quiet and an introvert, but we rule in some kind of way. Just want to let you know, in June 19th, Startup Grind will be hosting their first Juneteenth virtual celebration. So you want with our diversity, equality, and inclusive chapter. So make sure you stay connected with my chapter, Startup Grind Jacksonville. We'll be rolling out more details, hopefully after the Memorial holiday. I want to take time to give a shout out and a thanks to every veteran, the families, the spouse that have sacrificed and served our country. That we Startup Grind Jacksonville, we appreciate you. And I know Jana Devoe as well. We appreciate all what you have done, what your family has sacrificed. And we thank you so much and the country for setting aside Memorial Day to acknowledge you all for that. So this is your hostess with the mostest, Therese W. Gamble, the chapter director of Startup Grind in Jacksonville, Florida. But you are welcome to attend from wherever you are. I do not discriminate. But our final words will come from our amazing guest today, Jana Devoe-Biggins. Give up. Oh, I got a surprise for you. I just forgot. I had a surprise announcement for her.
Okay.
Before I give her the last word, I want to put on this recording that Jana Devoe-Biggins has become our official content radio contributor for Courageous Conversations on telling us about play life, all the things we can do to have play. Because I've been thinking about this. I said, I'm going to wait and I'm going to tell her when we get through with our interview today. So stay tuned. Coming July 2021, Jana Devoe-Biggins will be doing monthly updates on how we can experience our play life, even in the pandemic. Even for those that don't want to physically go nowhere, Jana has a way for you and your family to virtually have some play life.
Yes.
So with that being said, I know she was surprised. With that being said, Jana, give us our actionable goals with the craft of the follow-up, what we need to do moving forward, because we're in mid-year right now.
Yes. So, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks everyone who hopped on today. I want to definitely put the challenge out there for you to go back to someone who you have not followed up with. It could be one person who you dropped the ball. And I want you to be able to come back and give them a warm invitation to renew that relationship that you wanted to get started with them. Or maybe you were halfway in the relationship and be able to pick up that phone. I want you to be able to come back and tell Miss Theresa about it and be able to say, hey, I reached out to this person who I dropped the ball with, and guess what? They were waiting on me. I bet you that's what they're going to say. They were waiting on you to come back and pick up the phone because they were interested in your product, but they didn't think that you were passionate enough to share it with them. Most of the time, that's what it is. People aren't going to chase you down all the time. And sometimes they chase you down and still you got to chase them down for the money. But lately, they're waiting for you to call back to them and be able to rebuild that relationship and just say, hey, you came across my mind. So that is my challenge for you. Get the book. Get the book. Download it if you want to have a download on your Kindle. If you like paper like I do, get you a copy of it. It is an easy read. I made it easy because we're business owners, we're 9-to-5ers, and I didn't want it to overwhelm, but I wanted to get to the point, share my story, and give you some tidbits of some things that I have done that have been successful, and that you can transcend and use in your business, ministry, or on your 9-to-5. And so the craft of the follow-up, that's basically what it is. You being able to craft your follow-up based on your vision, based on your mission, and what you stand for in your product and your services. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to follow up. A lot of times we feel that that individual or that business, they don't want you. Oh, I gave them my card, they never called me. Follow up with them and check on them and see how their business is going. They might have started a whole new business and you haven't followed up to see. And it might be that one thing that's going to make your business successful. And with that, Ms. Therese, I want to thank you for having me tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Jana. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Stephanie, for attending. You had some amazing, great questions. And I'm looking forward to Juneteenth next month, June 19th. It's a Saturday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join from wherever you are. And we're going to take the time to educate you how businesses make a difference with Juneteenth and how Black-owned businesses was birthed after Reconstruction. I mean, we have a plethora of topics to talk about. If you want to volunteer, if you just want to attend, if you want to participate on the panel, if you just want to even just share this event and stream it with your organization, you are welcome to do so, because the more we can educate each other about our culture, the better relationships we can build and we can master the craft of the follow-up. Thank you, Jana. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Y'all too. Take care.
Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SG Women Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more, who represent our community all around the world. This month, SG Women Month is proudly presented by Silicon Valley Bank and Google for Startups.